London correspondent Jonathan Sacerdoti, good evening.
Good evening.
Yet we're here again, another very dramatic day in British politics. What's the latest you have from there?
We just heard Theresa May speak outside of the House of Commons, and she emphasised three things in a very short address to the public and the press that were important to her. The first was strong leadership in difficult and uncertain economic times. The second was to get the best deal she could on Brexit, something she herself didn't vote for. And then the third was forging a new role for the UK in the world. And that's really the spirit in which she's hoping to start her time as Prime Minister.
Jonathan, let's hear a little bit of what Theresa May had to say in that address in her own words.
During this campaign, my case has been based on three things. First, the need for strong, proven leadership to steer us through what will be difficult and uncertain economic and political times. The need, of course, to negotiate the best deal for Britain in leaving the EU and to forge a new role for ourselves in the world. Brexit means Brexit, and we're going to make a success of it.
Jonathan, so we just heard a bit of how she's going to lead policy. We already hear comparisons in the media, though, to Margaret Thatcher. Is too much being made already of the fact that Britain's next Prime Minister is a woman?
A lot's been made of the fact that the two contenders for the role were both women, and then Andrea Leadsom stepped down this morning unexpectedly, spiralling the whole thing into a much faster version of what was meant to be happening over the next few weeks during the campaign to choose the leader of the Conservative Party and the next Prime Minister. But what that means is that she's now got very big boots to fit into, not just David Cameron's, not just Margaret Thatcher's. She has to be herself. She is somebody that people are very familiar with, having been in office, in high office for a long time in the cabinet, but now she's going to have to prove what kind of Prime Minister she will be. Because she's a woman, of course, those inevitable comparisons to Margaret Thatcher, and also with the Labour Party now going through a very slow motion leadership contest, there's a strong possibility that there could be a woman at the head of that party as well, which would see for the first time a situation where we'd have two women at the head of the Conservative and Labour parties, both in government and in opposition, and that would certainly also be an interesting new chapter for Britain.
Jonathan, starting on Wednesday evening, Theresa May has a very tough ride ahead of her after this Brexit vote. How much support does she have from both others in her party and the rest of the leadership in the United Kingdom to really sort of steady that ship, as David Cameron said?
Mrs May has been billed as the unity candidate, and that's in the end why Andrea Leadsom stood down and made way for her to take that position uncontested. And the reason for that is that while she was a Remainer in the EU debate, she was seen as somebody that didn't really nail her colours to the mast fully. She didn't make a big deal of that position. She kept quite a low profile. And as such, she's seen as somebody that could unite MPs within her own party from both sides of that divide. And sure enough, plenty of them are rallying round her, saying that she's a very good choice for the role of Prime Minister and for leader of their party. Similarly, she's somebody that seems to have quite a high level of trust in the country, having proven herself for many years. Somebody that maybe can win another general election for the Conservative Party. That's also an interesting question, whether or not she'll be forced to call another general election before the next one that's due in 4 years' time. She has said consistently that she won't be doing that. I'm sure she'll be sticking to that plan. Hopefully for her, those in the Tory party will be saying there shouldn't be one. It requires stability. But there are demands, of course, in the country that the people should get to choose who the Prime Minister is, not a small number of Conservative MPs and not even the full Tory party membership.
A unifying candidate after a decision to divide. We'll see how it all plays out. Jonathan Sacerdoti, thanks very much for this.